Hi, welcome to our Meet the Trainer with Stephanie Bachmann-Mattei. Stephanie is going to be one of our 5 core trainers at our International Intensive Training in Green Lake, Wisconsin, starting this April 26, 2026. I'm really excited to have Stephanie here today, to be with Stephanie, to work with Stephanie again. We worked together, I think, 3 or 4 years ago now on another International Intensive Training. We are going to be recording this. The recording will be used for social media and promotion purposes. Please be aware that means your image and your voice, should you lend them, will be on this recording. And please be in choice about what you want to share and how you want to share, and if you want your voice and your face on the recording. So the recording's already started in this version. Stephanie Bachmann-Mattei is one of the leaders. For me, one of the leaders in the NPC community, and the number of things she's done. She led a parent peer leadership program for many years, teaching many people NVC. She's been a certified trainer for some time. She's been an assessor, which means guiding other trainers to become certified trainers, and has done a number of these IITs. So for me, it's a real treat that I get to work with Stephanie again. I'm going to hand it over to Stephanie now for the next 45 minutes to an hour for a little exercise. And I'm so glad you all chose to be here and Stephanie chose to be here. Take it away, Stephanie.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. It's always a joy to be together and share spaces and experiences. And welcome to each and every one of you. I'm excited to be here and grateful for your willingness to carve time in what I believe our busy schedules to find out more about this program and to explore some topics around NVC together today. So when I was preparing for this session, I saw myself revisiting one of the core messages that I enjoyed tracking, that Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of Nonviolent Communication of the Practice, shared with trainers and with assessors towards, let's say, the end of his life. And that was that for him, the practice had 3 main areas of application, and that is spirituality. So NVC as a spirituality, NVC as a practice to contribute to social change, and NVC as a practice of living community, experiencing community, and creating community with the tenets, with the principles of NVC. So I'm wondering, just by the show of hand, how many of you heard about those 3, let's say, pillars of the practice? Jill, I see, yes. Kat and Linda, thank you. Yeah. And so for me, each time I prepare for an IIT, I go back to revisiting and finding out where I am at with my understanding and my experience of community. But before we go there, I would like to share a few words about also the other 2 aspects, so the spirituality and the social change. And so for NVC as a spiritual practice, I will just offer a couple of points, and welcome, Teresa. We just started. So one big aspect for me of this practice as a spiritual practice is what I perceive as actually a training, the mind in a shift of perception. So what we have been usually conditioned to look at what is wrong with me and what is wrong with you, right? And with this practice, we are encouraged to shift and look at our own beauty and one another's beauty. And so that for me is huge. And the applications of that shift in perception can just be very, very powerful. And another aspect is just moving away from the either or mentality, which is this dichotomical way of perceiving reality, which also then creates me and the other, and so the separation among us. and rather look at, what unites us. So, for instance, instead of seeing human beings as dependent or independent, we see the interconnection of all of life. So those for me are just two aspects that I wanted to share with you all in terms of NVC as a spiritual practice. And I want to pause and just briefly hear a couple of reactions to what I just said. So just to have a sense of, exchange and partnership in our exploration. And I see, Kat, yes, you opened your mic.
Yeah, when I heard you say that, Stephanie, I felt deeply resonant with that. I have always said that MVC is a consciousness first, which might be another way of saying a spiritual path. It's an embracing of not I, but the other in me, in a sense. And for myself, NVC and playback theater, which I believe to be an embodied experience of empathy, has been my spiritual path most of the last 40 years. So I really appreciate that come from, because I also always tell people it's not, I wish Marshall had called it something else, because it's not so much about communication people think of as you speaking. And it's not really so much about how you speak, but how you listen. So
and how you think, so language as an expression of our thinking, and of course how thinking also reinforces our ways of speaking. And thank you, Kat, for sharing.
And one last thing was that
go ahead.
I used to do a lot of training in the prisons, especially with Kathleen McFerrin.
Okay.
And one of the things that I would say is, like, this is very simple, but it's not easy. You almost have to change your DNA to really be on board with it.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. A lot of unlearning in order to learn something that is actually our nature, right? So, yes. Someone else, and then I would like to keep going. Is there someone else who would like to share? Any reaction to what I shared, or how NVC lives in you in terms of a spiritual practice? Paul, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to just mention that I struggled with the word spirituality for a while, and I found a definition that works for me, and it is just people connecting on a deep level. So that's how I see it, and I think it works pretty well for me. And that's NVC is really the way that I can get there at times.
Thank you, Paul, for sharing. Yes, the struggle that we may have sometimes with words, and how empowering it can be to just find a way to touch the experience that words point to in a way that lands for us, right? That resonates for us. So thank you. Yeah. So then the second pillar is social change, right? And so how NVC can actually contribute to social change. So we speak about social change, but then, there are many, many different ways in which social change can happen. And for me, there are two principles of NVC that really speak to my understanding of how NVC can contribute to a social. And Diana, welcome. So two principles. One being every action is an attempt to meet a need. And the second is everyone's needs matter equally. Imagine what kind of world we would set up if we operated with those two principles. Everyone's needs matter deeply. So it's not a matter of some needs of some groups being more important than the needs of other groups, but also within ourselves, that we are perhaps conditioned to see certain needs as more acceptable, and therefore we prioritize those needs, and we tend to suppress or not acknowledge some other needs within us, so that it becomes kind of a power over dynamic within, right? So everyone's needs matter deeply, and every needs of every part of me matter deeply. And seeing that every action is an attempt to meet a need, how transformative that can be, from labeling behaviors as good and bad, and this is, which of course then is this needs to be punished, this needs to be praised, and all of the corollaries that come with those understandings. And so again, I want to pause and check if there are perhaps two voices that we haven't heard yet who would like to share, just in a sentence or two. How is social change? What is your understanding on how do you see NVC supporting social change? Teresa, thank you. Yes.
So I noticed what was coming up for me as I was hearing you talk, because I was like, yes, and there's a resistance. Like there's a real opportunity to work with these principles, which I'm really grateful. I'm in Minnesota right now, so there's a lot of needs, and my first reaction, and I know that this is a principle that every need matters equally. I was like, but there's an underneath, right? There's an underneath, and so the work or the invitation is in softening and opening. But that, I mean, I'm feeling both excited and challenged at those two principles in the current climate. Yeah.
Climate. Thank you, Teresa, for sharing so vulnerably in this space of ours. And I see, yes, some resonance. Yeah. And we are in, calling them challenging times here in the US and all over the world. There is so much happening, yes. So it is a challenge, right? And, why is it a challenge? I believe it's because we have conditioned to think in a certain way. So it's exactly what Marshall was pointing to. The way we are, have been conditioned to think, to speak, and to respond to needs. So our preferred strategies. And so really seeing the distinction between needs and strategy, so I can see that there is a need, behind a behavior, which does not mean that I agree with the behavior, so with the strategy. So making this distinction for me is paramount. So I can still see the humanity and uphold the dignity of a person or myself whenever this person or I behave in ways that is so, at odds with my values. Is that helpful, this distinction, Teresa?
It is very much. I was actually writing it down and going like, okay, yes, needs versus strategies. And I'm looking forward to diving in deep. And I love that we're having these sessions leading up to connect the community this way.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So I think I saw Kat and Jill perhaps wanting to chime in.
Well, I would just, you kind of touched on it, but I think it's the energy behind things too, that we start to understand the energy behind how things are said. You can say the same thing and have a different energy behind it depending on the need. And it can have, it can land, we can hear it the same, but there's a difference in that. And the nuances of figuring that out is quite an art.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jill. Yeah. So what I'm hearing you bring in is also, not only the words, so the verbal communication, but the non-verbal. And so the energy, the posture, the tone of voice, all of that conveys so much. Yes. Yes. And so, learning to attune to all that. Yeah. Kat, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just was so grateful that Teresa brought that up, because I think some strategies that are being employed right now to meet possibly the need for safety, and we could list a whole bunch of needs, we don't need to go there, but it's some of the most heinous strategies that we've experienced in our lifetime. And so I think I am the most challenged. Yes, I can see the humanity and I can see the universal need, but I have not yet been able to move past wanting those people who are employing those kinds of strategies that not only harm but actually end people's lives. There's just too much grief and rage in me toward their strategies.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a big challenge.
Thank you, Kat. Yeah, I see some hearts, and yeah, I imagine you're not alone in the, not only in the struggle but in the rage that you experience. And when I, again, it's my understanding, when I look at this practice as being part of a legacy of nonviolence, for me it starts with ourselves. So that for me means that when I sense rage in me, can I make space for that as well and acknowledge that without going into self-blame or thinking that there is something wrong with me for feeling the rage. So can I feel the rage, be with the rage, and then really explore what is underneath, right? So thank you for your honesty, really, and honesty with yourself and with us. So yeah. And so moving now, of course, because I would like to stay in the time that we have for today, so we could spend days on each of those topics. So moving to community, I would like actually, before we explore what it means for us, to invite you to an exploration in dyads for 15 minutes. So I will now post the questions in the chat. I want to just have a confirmation. Can you see them? Okay. So how comfortable are you sharing your feelings in front of others? So when we are in a group setting, what core needs tend to emerge for you when in group settings? It could be belonging, it could be autonomy, it could be flow, efficiency, harmony, something else. So, but what are some of the needs that come up for you when you are in a group, when you are in a community? And how do you usually respond when somebody disagrees with you? And so, I just put into brackets fight, flight, freeze. So the brain, when it perceives a threat, the stress response is to go into either fight, flight, or freeze. So in fight, the brain goes into looking what is wrong with the other person, right? So Eric is saying something that expresses a disagreement with me. My brain goes into fight, and I have a long list of all that is wrong with Eric, right? I can go into flight, which is, kind of withdraw and just flee from the situation, even just emotionally or even physically, whatever, Eric, and, I go away. Or I just, again, withdraw emotionally. Or I could actually my brain could go into a freeze. So kind of, the immobilization, where I'm not able to neither move nor say anything. So it's just really a freeze. So there is nothing wrong with those. Those are evolutionary responses that the brain, has utilized for millennia in order to support our survival. And so I invite you for an exploration around, that, just to get to know ourselves a little more. Not again to point, to think that there is anything wrong, but for change to happen, for me, it's important to know what is our starting point. And so self-understanding can support us. So these 3 questions, if you want to explore them all, if you want to just, stay with one, the idea is to have 15 minutes total. So you have a couple of minutes to just, get acquainted with whoever will be in your dyad. Then spend the bulk of the time, so more or less 5 minutes each, exploring one or all 3 of these questions, and then again having a few minutes to close in your small group before going back into our large group here. Any questions? Anything that is not as clear as you would like? So I want to add that, of course, those are invitations. You are always a choice here. And, if you come to the IIT, we are always just inviting for practice. And then you are in choice and in your own power. And also to see, how much you want to explore, in which depth, and how much you want to share with another person. So maybe you connect with some aspects, of these questions, and it's important for you to hold them in your own heart without sharing them, and that's fine too. So Eric, I am ready when you are. I'm not seeing any hands, so I trust.
Okay, here we go. Thank you. So you'll have 14 minutes. Sorry.
Go ahead.
14 minutes with a 1-minute countdown. You're gonna go into your room. You're gonna choose. I'm not pushing you into your rooms. You get to choose to go in your room. There may be a little bit of movement if some people don't go into their room. So just be aware of that for the first minute or so. Okay. And just call me if you have any questions. Thank you, Stephanie. We'll see you all shortly.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Oh, wait, someone already did leave. Hold on. Okay, well, I'll figure that out. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. Let's do that. Okay, it looks like we're paired. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
We just have Aaliyah. Oh, I'm going to pause this recording. Oh, there we go. Aaliyah went too. Okay, so we're going to pause that recording. I'm going to pause this recording. Oh, people will still be arriving.
Yes. "16 more seconds, and then everybody will be brought back."
Hey,
so welcome back.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge Jay joined us while you were in small groups. So she took the opportunity to just journal on the questions. And so I would love to hear again a couple of voices, and the invitation is maybe some new voices. If you're willing to share your experience and let your partner decide whether and how and if they want to share. So what has come up for you in terms of community and NVC through these questions? Anyone willing to share?
Hi, I can share.
Thank you.
So, Tisha and I were kind of discussing how society kind of craves this like level of depth of connectivity, but we sometimes are afraid to be so authentic from the get-go with the fear of like the other rejecting who we are as a person. And sometimes perhaps we kind of cater to this by like keeping superficial conversations. And so we have this idea of connectivity, but then at the end of the day, we still feel maybe lonesome. And we're kind of at a tug of war between wanting to set us like be vulnerable, but then at the same time, that fear of rejection and trying to get over it. Yeah, so that's kind of one topic that we discussed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yes. So what I hear is this tension between a need for authenticity and a need for belonging, right? And we have been conditioned to perceive them as an either or. So either I'm authentic and I risk, as you said, the fear of rejection. So I put belonging at risk, or I choose belonging and therefore I will not show up in my full authenticity, but will just show what I consider safe and appropriate. And follow that, right? So this tension, yes. And so with this practice, we want, again, to look at how to unite those, how to integrate those two needs and not perceive them as, conflictual, right? Because needs are really not in conflict, strategies are. So how can I belong and be authentic at the same time? So an IIT is this, laboratory where we can actually explore, how to integrate those needs, how to be truly ourselves and still belong. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Someone else?
I can share.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I feel deeply seen by my partner, Kat. We found common needs like belongings and acceptance, be seen, accepted by the group. I feel like that's kind of sometimes the reaction of the other disagree is triggered internal like guilty or shame. That's a lot of internal works need to transformative. That makes me think about the spiritual of NVC. It's like you're trying to control because your fear of something that we fear of this. We fear of surrendering because we're trying to control. We try to control ourselves and others or the situation. Yeah, that's really part of touching me. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Yes, for bringing up, yes, the guilt and the shame that we can experience, right? And for me, it touches, so shame. If we look at shame, it's really this, fear of not belonging, of not being lovable, right? That there is something deeply wrong with. So guilt is I did something wrong. Shame is I am wrong. And so how easily that can be stimulated when we are in a group setting, right? Anything can become a stimulus for self-doubt. And then, it can spiral into shame and guilt and shame. And so again, how can we, support ourselves and one another to be together and notice when those, uncomfortable emotions arise and be present for those emotions and see what are the needs underneath those emotions, because those emotions, point to some needs that are perceived as not met or at risk, right? And so in community we can heal and contribute to one another's healing, because most of, also the hurt and the trauma that we carry is also happened in relationship, right? And so it is in relationship that we can repair and bring reconnect with wholeness. Yeah. So thank you, Diana. Someone else, and then I'm tracking time. It's already time to wrap it up. One more voice.
I have something, if you don't mind, I
Thank
can.
you. Absolutely. Yes, go ahead.
TJ and we didn't necessarily get to the third question, and I think that's okay because we were really having a good conversation about the first two. But you spoke on how the freeze, flight, or fight, flight, or freeze response is kind of like embedded in us behaviorally, evolutionary. But I feel like it can perhaps also be due to like nurture and upbringing, depending on like the environment that one has grown up in as like a response to like survival in a way. And I was wondering if you could kind of touch on how that is like what percentage is behavioral, or like which percentage is evolutionary and what percentage is like nurture, and can somebody like rewire whether they choose to freeze, flight, or fight?
Wow, that is a complex question for, yeah, especially for the amount of time we have. Percentages, I wouldn't know. It is not my expertise. I'm not a neuroscientist, so I know that the debate between nature and nurture has been going on for decades, and so it is both. It is both. So the brain is is structured in a way to respond to threats or perceived threats with this stress response, fight, flight, freeze, and as you name, experiences shape the brain. So both structure and functioning of the brain. So depending on the upbringing, the environment my brain developed in, that will definitely have an influence in what is kind of my default. Gender is also part of it. So there are many different aspects that play into what is my default. And with different people, it's also different. So I may go into fight with my husband, go into flight with my mom, or whatever it is. For me, the important piece is to just start with curiosity, to look and observe. Okay, what is my reaction? So what is the trigger? What we in NVC call the observation, and how do I respond to that? To that stimulus, which becomes a trigger because somewhere my brain reads it as a threat. And from that self-understanding, then we can start to make different choices. And yeah, absolutely, yes, making different choices is an option. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a point in learning NVC if we couldn't change. And now neuroscience tells us that yes, there is neuroplasticity. So it means that the brain continues to change throughout life, and that the brain is experience dependent. So the more I practice and the more I offer practice and repetition to my brain, the more it learns to respond in different ways. So that is my brief answer. I hope that there is something in it that can be meaningful for you. Aliyah, I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly.
Alia. And thank you so much.
Alia.
Yes, there was significant information for me. Thank you.
So I'm tracking time, and I would like to keep the space also for your questions around the IIT, logistics, whatever. And Teresa, I see, yes, you are signing off. So maybe in closure, I want to say that, as I said earlier, so the IIT is not only an environment for learning NVC, for practicing NVC, but it's really an environment where we can live NVC together. So we will look at, how we can create agreements together. How do we make decisions together? How to balance individual needs and group needs, how to balance empathy and self-expression. And so how to navigate conflicts in a connecting way. So all of these are incredible opportunities for transforming our consciousness and become aware of what our tendencies are and bring in some choice that can support a reconnection to really our wholeness as individuals and as communities. And going back to the struggles that we are living historically in the US and in other parts of the world, also the more we connect with our own power and we bring it together with our people, that becomes collective power. And I believe that collective power is what can really make a difference in this world. And I love seeing Jules, I don't know if those are your kids, but yes, Hi. Children at the table. Lovely. So thank you so much for your engagement in this exploration with me, and I turn it over to Eric.
Thank you so much. I'm going to invite everybody, if you wouldn't mind, just unmuting for a moment and making some noise for Stephanie. Just say thank you, Stephanie. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you,
Thank
Stephanie.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Eric.
Yeah. We're just going to spend another about 15 minutes here. Just any other questions, and either Stephanie or I will answer them. Anything about the IIT? I recently had a question about food and meals. So your room and board covers, the room and board. So that's the room that you stay in, the food, and then the rental of all of the spaces that we have, and of course the grounds. So that's what room and board your fee covers specifically, and then tuition helps us cover, honestly, paying for Stephanie's transportation and time, and my transportation and time. And for meals specifically, those are all covered. And then because we're in a hotel type of situation, we're in a very unique situation. They actually have a form you can fill out if you have very specific requests, and they will try to work with you. So if you're gluten-free or sugar-free or meat-free or whatever it is that you are, fun-free, I don't know what it is, but you can fill out a form and they'll see what they can do to help you out. So any questions? Man, it'd be great if we had kids come, wouldn't it? Any comments?
I have a question on that. So, do we get the form then after we sign up, like the specific request for food?
So, thank you. So there's two. Thank you. Actually, great question, Tija. Did I say your name right, Tija?
Pizza.
Titsa.
Mm-hmm.
Titsa. Thank you, Titsa, for pronouncing it for me. Titsa, there's two things. First, there'll be an intake form once you've registered, you've paid and registered. We ask you fill that out, and that has anything that you want us to know about you, and all the trainers and all the organizers, we read through that 2 or 3 or 5 times. And you can put your dietary stuff there. However, the dietary stuff won't move over into the other thing. Secondly, then there's a form that you fill out. The link should already be in the helpful details document. And if you need it, just email me and I'll send you directly the information, or whoever needs that. So there is a form that should already be available on the helpful details, and they are taking the forms now. They started taking them January 2nd. Thank you, Titsa.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Man, that kid has the best yogurt, Chobani. I think that's probably black cherry yogurt right there. That's my favorite yogurt in the whole world.
Are you hungry, Eric? So maybe out of curiosity, can you, by a show of hands, are some of you already registered? If you would raise your hand if you already are. Okay, Paul, Earl, okay, Diana. All right, okay.
Pre-registered.
Pre-registered. Okay.
Pre-registered, there you go, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So thank you, Stephanie, for this first off, and Eric for creating this Zoom. Are we going to be meeting with all different trainers during the IIT few weeks, or are we going to be in groups and we're only going to meet with a few of them? Like, how is it going to work?
I just want to make sure I'm tracking your question and I understand it correct. So you are speaking about the IIT, not those,
yes.
these calls. Okay, yes.
Right.
So yes, at the IIT, there are, there is a team of several trainers. And so we will offer different sessions, and you are a choice of which session to attend. So usually at an IIT, the first 3 days, at least some of us trainers will offer a foundation track, which is for the people who are new to NVC, or people who are, more acquainted or maybe even advanced in the practice and want to just have a sense of how a specific trainer shares the foundation aspects of NVC. So there will be this track, while other trainers will be starting to offer sessions linked to a theme of the day. So the IIT is organized on a curriculum that Dr. Marshall Rosenberg himself created. And so there is a theme for each day. Like, day one is self-empathy, the second day is empathy. So the different trainers will offer sessions on those, on specific topics linked to that theme. And in the morning, we will share what those sessions will be, and you will be a choice of, which sessions to attend. So one day you can attend a session with me, another day, or the same day for another session, you can attend a session with another trainer, and you are fully a choice. Is this answering your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Leo. We actually at one, I think it might even have been at R1 in 2023, Stephanie. I think there was someone who signed up and only went to a few sessions, and then they just hosted a fusion dance party out on the balcony every night. I don't know that they went to any other sessions other than the community sessions, like the opening and the closing ones. Mm-hmm. And they just did, and then they just danced with other people who did NVC. And I don't necessarily recommend that. I'm just saying that guy was really exercising choice. So, yeah.
Yes.
And then there's people who don't stop. They just go to everything all the time. I think by the fifth day I was tired and I stopped going to things. So my first day.
It is called, and it really is an intensive training. And so it is important, to also pace oneself and attend to self-care. And again, it's an opportunity also, again, to see how does the mind work, right? Oh, there are all these offerings. If I miss something, what will happen, right? And so there is this kind of grasping of wanting to be everywhere at all times. And so really noticing, what is the tendency of the mind, and can I take a step back and really be connected to choice and the needs that I'm trying to meet, and, discern from that awareness of needs. And we will also build to support, well-being for everybody. We will support, we will build in 1 or 2 afternoons of integration. So when we will not have, official offerings, so that people can really, either, attend to self-care, sleeping, or going for a walk, or, going over notes, whatever is helpful for you to integrate what the learning that has happened.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Stephanie. I see a question in the chat is, where can I find the recording link for this meeting? So this meeting is part of a playlist on YouTube. The link to that playlist is in every email that I send to you. If you go down to the bottom, you'll see there's a link for videos, and the footer after my name appears in these emails 7 or 8 times. I know that's hard to see, but if you go down below that line, they say, meet the trainer videos. And so each time we have a meet the trainer, I add that to the list. It does take a few hours sometimes after the meeting for that to appear. And sometimes I have to edit the video a little bit because I've said something terrible. So this video should be available within a few hours after we're done here, along with all the other videos. So again, send the video links to your most hated enemies, because those are the ones that really need nonviolent communication, not you. Tita, thank you. Good to see you.
And Eric is a highlight of the IIT, so you can sense, so imagine, we open up the day with community meetings, we close the day with a community meeting. and Eric will be Eric.
I think I might be an acquired taste, honestly. I suspect, but don't know, that are people who are very irritated by me at times, and I really need to work on that. I need to find a way to get that feedback and work with people on that. So, and thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, yeah.
Are there other questions or ponderings?
No, I will drive there if anyone need a ride. My car can fit extra 4 person. So let
Wow,
me
4 people. Okay.
yeah.
And can I ask which general area you're coming from or
I'm
city?
from middle of Illinois. I will stop by at Madison. So I will start in the day, the morning from Madison to the retreat center. So if you were start from Madison, it's an hour drive from Madison
Perfect.
to yeah.
Thank you for that offer. I think it's Diana, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. We will have what I call a heart collaboration sheet. And what we'll invite people to do is do 2 things. One, put your contact information there if you want to share it. We don't share your information. We support you to share your information. So once you're fully registered, you'll get access to that. The second thing then is that we'll have a carpool sheet to do exactly what Diana will do. And you can offer a carpool, like, I'm going to leaving from Madison on this day. Does anybody want to ride with me? So thank you, Diana, for bringing that up.
Welcome.
Oh, and I guess Diana's ready to put it out for the world.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Building community already here.
Yes.
Yes.
Diana. Thank you for
sharing
supporting
resources. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm guessing we can transition towards a close if there are no other questions.
Yeah. Would you like to do like a need? Go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, go ahead. Take it, Eric.
I'm going to suggest we do a needs met checkout, just 1 or 2, 1 to 5 words of what needs were met for you, or something you learned. I'd love to hear from everyone if you're willing, just for fun. We'll just see what happens. Why don't we start with, so say pass if you don't want to do this, okay? Why don't we start with Paul, because he just unmuted.
Connection and understanding.
Thank you, Paul. Would you call on someone else? And remember, you can always pass. You can say pass.
Okay. Stephanie?
So for me, it's community and fun. And Jay, would you be willing to go next?
I'll say community and inspiration.
Could you call on someone, Jay?
I'll call on Julie.
Thank you. I had to figure out how to unmute. I'm babysitting here. Understanding. Calmness. And calmness.
Thank you, Jules. Would you be willing to call on someone else?
I'm on my phone and I can't see anybody's.
How about Linda? Linda, would you be willing to check out real quick? Thank you, Jules.
Connection and community. And I'll call on Earl.
Yeah, for me it'd be discovery. And I'll call on Diana.
Thank you. For me, it's connection and fun. So I will call Jay.
Oh, maybe Aaliyah. How about Aaliyah?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah, the need for clarity and comfort.
Okay.
And then I'll call on user. Yes.
But we can't hear you. I'm not sure if that's the or not, but we have someone calling in named user. Okay.
Yeah, and your mic is
Muted.
closed. Yeah, so muted. Okay, now. Okay, now I can. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Dr. Lubadi in South Africa. I'm not in USA, I'm in South Africa. Thank you very much. I think this is very good for the community empowerment, but I'm regretting that we are not many people from this side. We should have seen so many people participating in things like this because it can awaken our mind in terms of the job and the work that is done in our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Well,
it's Dr. Lubadi.
Dr. Mbadi. Thank you, Dr. Mbadi. Well, thank you very much.
How about you? Yeah.
Yeah. Just for me, it's just fun and connection and getting to know people who want to do more stuff in the world. I hope.
I'm just going to say, yeah, encouragement. Encourage. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you, each and everyone, and yeah, looking forward to seeing at least some of you at the event in April in Wisconsin.
So I invite you all to unmute your phones and make a whole bunch of noise for Stephanie, and we hope to see you in 1 week.
We'll one another.
Yeah, one another too.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye, Stephanie.
Bye-bye.